single line. So you have no actor to react to or to bounce off of. You often don't even know what the storyline is. You're doing these wild lines, and you're doing 4 or 5 different readings of each line, and then 4 or 5 different takes of each reading. And it just goes on hour after hour after hour. So you have to be completely self-motivated. You've got to come up with all of your own, imaginative motivation for each line, and then different readings of each line. And you don't know which they'll keep, which they'll take, which ones are appropriate. It's really, I find, acting kind of into the dark.
Yeah.
But because you're giving for 4 hours at a time, and then you take an hour off, and then you go back for 4 hours more, it's really exhausting. Because you don't get the juice from the other actors. So it's completely different than anything you're prepared to do from acting training. It's a different kind of thing.
Yeah. What he said.
Watch your panel.
No, I like it when he talks. I like to listen to his voice. And sometimes the director tries to read with you, and they're awful. So sometimes I'm like, it's okay, I got it. You don't need to read it with me. It's good, because they're like, stop, you are a bad person, Catwoman. What are you doing? Hey, go. I'm like, oh, no, it's okay. I'd rather just have my imaginary good actor. I had a director that wanted to be in the booth with me all the time, like right next to me, and he was like, okay, action, and he'd like point in your face. And so I was like, go lay down.
Sounds like he was putting the moves on.
He was a strange one. Yeah. And then we dated for 8 months.
So, any questions? Any ideas?
What kind of training did you have?
People come to this business from so many different angles. Everyone always says, how do you get into the voiceover business? I stumbled into it myself. I went to Juilliard for 4 years. I trained for the theater. I worked for Joe Papp at the Public Theater and did Broadway and off-Broadway. And then was in LA to do a series, a primetime series. And my agent said, they're looking for voice actors for, they don't want voice actors, they want actors for this new show that's going on Warner Brothers. Give it a shot. So I was a total shot in the dark for me. I went at it from a whole different angle. But then there are people who, and it's very humbling to work with people who do this, who can do dozens of different voices. There are people who can make you believe that a cougar is in the room with you. You know what I mean? They can do animal
I'm a
voices.
cougar. My husband's 29.
But there are, voice actors who are just amazing at what the variety of voices they can do. And then there are other people who come at it more from a theater background, like I did, who kind of
suck.
What a bitch. But there are a lot of different ways to approach it.
I'm gonna bring Zuko with me next time I come back. Probably over the summer. I texted him last night. I was like, do you want to come to Sacramento with me and be my brother and sign things as Azula and Zuko? And he's like, sure. He's like, but I only do the one voice. Like, they're gonna ask me to do voices, and like, that's the voice I do. But it's so good. Anyway, but no, we were saying. Sorry, I'm like the attention span of a gnat. I'm just like, I saw a shiny thing over there. What else? No, you were saying something interesting.
So,
I was gonna,
and what was your background?
Oh, I didn't go to Juilliard. No, I felt bad. I was like, God, you're amazing. I was just a spazzy little kid. And I did children's theater, and then I went to fine arts high school and junior high and college, and I went to the Pacific Conservatory of Performing Arts near Santa Barbara, and then I did stand up in Los Angeles, and I just did a lot of impressions badly, and so they said, while you're working on your jokes, you should do some cartoons, and so I said, great, where do you line up to do that? And it was really hard to get into, but once I started doing it, I was like, comedy. But I still do comedy with Cora, with Janet Varney. She and I do like a little sketch comedy thing together sometimes.
That's rough.
Yeah, it's fun though.
But they're not like dying on stage.
Yeah, we don't do that. We don't do that, Kevin.
You don't die.
No, we're hilarious all the time.
No, so there are a lot of different ways to approach it. A lot of different ways. But the problem now is for people coming into it is that there's something called stunt casting, where it used to be called stunt casting, where they would put a film star or a television star in a small role, just so they could put in the credits that, so it's Kathleen Turner's voice.
Now they're just calling that casting.
William Hurt's voice. And, well, now those people are doing all the voices because they found out how much fun this is. And you see the breakdowns now for the voices on so many things, and it's all film stars and primetime stars, so that it's made it much harder for people coming in to get the kind of roles that we were available to get. I probably wouldn't even be seen for Batman now, but 22 years ago, I was able to come in a complete unknown to them, some New York actor, and nail it. And it was the right person for the role, because it obviously worked over time. But now they probably wouldn't even let me in the door.
And it's so sad because, some celebrities are good or great, actually. But man, some celebrities just are horrible. Yes. I'm doing Scratch. I can't say for what, but I'm doing Scratch for like a big thing. And it's a really challenging role, and they started playing for me the person that they're going to cast for it, who's a celebrity. And I honestly thought that it was like, because sometimes they have like a pre-Scratch, then they have like the professional Scratch, and they have the voice they're actually going to put in it. And so sometimes like an editor or a storyboard artist or somebody will just do like really, really awful Scratch, but they're like an editor, they're not an actor, so it's totally fine. And then I kind of do the better version of that, and then they use whoever they're going to use later. But I thought that the celebrity was like the editor or the secretary or whoever it was that was doing the awful Scratch. And I said, oh, they're actually pretty good. Is that a storyboard artist or something? And they're like, no, that's the person. That's so-and-so, this celebrity. And I was like, oh my God, this is so bad. And then it was just like this awful moment in the room where everybody was thinking what I was thinking, but nobody can say anything. They're like, oh no, that's so-and-so. And I was like, oh yeah, I bet it's gonna be good. And they're like, yeah, they all had fear in their eyes. I hope that we still have a job next year. But,
I don't know if you've had this happen too, because there's this wonderful, wonderful director, Andrea Romano, who does so much stuff. She's...
Are you dating Andrea? Because this is like the second time you've
love
written about
Andrea. What's so wonderful about her is she started out as an actress.
I know, she's amazing.
So she knows how to talk to actors. She knows how to get performances out of actors. But she also really loves actors. And a little secret, a dirty little secret in Hollywood is a lot of people don't like actors. A lot of directors don't like actors, and a lot of producers don't like actors. They kind of resent us. But some people do. And she's one of those people who really loves actors and respects actors. And she knows how hard it is. Actors' lives are, not as easy as everyone thinks. So she really knows how to get a performance out of people. And I've been in recordings where they'll bring a celebrity in, and the celebrity's there because of the name of the celebrity, and they don't know what they're doing. And she'll try and get the performance out of them this way, and then she'll try and get the performance out of them that way, and then she'll try and get it again and again and again, and you can tell it's just not getting there. And she's come up to me afterwards, say, okay, thank you everyone, that was a great show, goodbye everybody, great, thanks for the... Kevin, can you stay for a few minutes?
She once grabbed me out of another booth. She just came, I was doing Scooby down the hall, and they were doing Deep Space Nine? Or, I don't know, some movie. And, or Dead Space? I don't know. Okay, I don't know. Did I play a pilot in Dead Space? Does anybody know, the spider pilot? Anyway, well, she came down the hall and she was like, Ray, are you going to be here for a little while? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, I'm going to need you in a little bit. And they had a celebrity that was on this sci-fi show who came in like crazy. like on drugs and was like acting all weird and was like rifling around through her purse while people were trying to do their lines. And then she was like, well, you can go out and wait in the lobby if you want to. And the girl's like, okay, because I just never work with other people. It's always just me. And she's like, okay. So she went out, she worked out, she just like went out in the lobby, and then she was like laying on the couch in the lobby, and then it was raining. And they couldn't find her. They came out to get her for her part, and they couldn't find her. So they went out to the parking lot, and Mark, at Salami, Mark, the engineer, he was like looking in cars and stuff, and finally he found her sleeping in the back of her car. And he was like, excuse me, you have to be back. And she's like, oh, okay, great. And so then Andrea, she still wasn't in there. They were waiting like 15 minutes, and Andrea went back out to the parking lot, and the woman was like speeding out of the parking lot, like leaving. And Andrea was like banging on her window going, excuse me, no, you're not done. And she was like, she just like wasn't looking at Andrea. She just like was like this, and then she just like sped out of the Salami parking lot and almost hit a car. It's really hard to get out of the studio. And so Andrea was like, what the hell was that? So she called her agent and said, this person just left. I don't know what's wrong with her. She was weirdo when she was here. And the guy was like, I don't know, that's not like her. So then he called back and he was like, she had a bleeding ulcer and she drove herself to Cedars-Sinai Hospital. And she was like, okay. She's so nice though. She was like, oh, well, I hope she feels better. And I was like, that is a pile of crap. I was like, and you're like, I mean, you would tell him, like, I would be like my stomach or something through the window. I wouldn't be like, whatever. Anyway, so I wish I could tell you who it was, but she's on one of those, like,
But so when she came up to me and she said, can you wait, we're calling agents, we're getting another voice here. So we're going to need you for a few hours. Yeah. But she didn't want to embarrass the actress.
Yeah.
So...
She's so, the part that I replaced was supposed to be this like little kind of like tough little fighter pilot, and I guess the girl was like, I want to do it like Kathleen Turner. And she was like, hey, but your audition was for like she's like a 20-year-old pilot, and she's like, yeah, but I want to do it like Kathleen Turner. So she was just like, okay, she let her do it like Kathleen Turner before she went out and slept in her car.
And then once we were doing a recording, and there was a celebrity, and we waited, and we waited, and we waited, and we waited.
I was late, I'm sorry.
For like 2 hours we waited. We got the whole rest of the show recorded, and the person finally came in. And she literally said, I mean, wouldn't you think up a great lie? I would think up a great lie, like I had a bleeding ulcer,
like
and I was at Cedars-Sinai.
Like some paint on your pants or something?
This was the excuse. I just couldn't get out of the house this morning.
It's always sad when I'm late and I have a latte.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm late when I have my Starbucks.
I mean, I know.
Oh, the egos. So, do you want to have some questions?
Well, first off, I love you guys. You're awesome.
Thank
I love
you.
Batman, Catwoman, but I also love Vicky.
Oh, all right, twerp. Thank you very much.
Now, you guys were talking just at the beginning about acting video games, and you both done video game roles. So my question was, what was it like, you guys, if you guys played a video game where you voiced the playable character, like you play Arkham City playing as Batman, or if Kevin was doing that, what would that be like?
Well, it's always so, I'm sure you have the same reaction, it's always so weird to hear your own voice coming out of the character, because it's like, it doesn't look like me.
Unless it's Azula, which looks exactly like it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always so weird. But it is, it's an odd experience. But, but then I always think, God, that's a good actor.
Turn it up. Turn it way up. My friend's friend plays Diablo 3, and I'm the female wizard, and so he always feels like he's spent a lot of time with me. Like every time I see him, he's like real extra familiar, and I don't really know him very well, but he's like, oh, I was playing you the other day. We had a great time.
Okay, next, you got a question?
Yes, I first off want to say thank you both for coming all the way here to Sacramento. It means so much to us fans. And I have a question for Ms. DeLisle. What did you think of the character Jeanette and Therese from Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, and how did you feel about voicing those two?
That was one of my favorite, most challenging. I played these twins, like an evil twin and a nice twin, and they just, one goes totally nuts. And it was yeah. So it was my most challenging role. Besides Azula, probably she was crazy too. But yeah, that was a long time ago, but it was a really wonderful video game, and I'm really proud of the work that I did in that. And it's one of my favorites. So whenever people bring that to be signed, I'm always like, oh, got ourselves a psycho here. This is nice connection.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, good morning to you both. My question is, going back through the acting and the roles that you played, you were Catwoman, you were as Batman, and you go through your lines and you look at the script, and as an actor, sometimes you're always taught that if a line doesn't go your way, make it go your way. How many times have you actually looked at your script and you read the line and you said, you know what, this isn't working for me, let's try something else? How many times have you both had an opportunity to do that?
I always try to make it work if I can, just because I don't want to be that difficult person, like, my character would say this, whatever. But I also give them alternate, like, I'll usually do like 3 in a row, so I'll do it the way that it's written, and then I'll do 2 variations that I think work better for me. And I said, just so you have it, I just didn't, the first line, I don't know how well that gelled, but I gave you 2 alternates if you want. And sometimes I'll go, oh, that's great, we like your idea, we think that's better, it flows better, or whatever. And sometimes they're like, just take it as written, Gray, thanks.
Yeah, usually you can give them different, if you feel that something just doesn't feel organic, you can give them an alternate reading just so they have it in the can for editing if they want to use it. And then you do it the way it's scripted too. But the thing is, with every show I've done, I've been involved with the creators. So when Bruce Timm is in the booth, you don't mess with his line.
I did. Totally mess with Bruce Timm.
No. So you don't get an opportunity to.
Thank you.
Sure.
Also, the Arkham people write things very British, so sometimes I've said, I don't know if we would say that, so they're like,
Yeah, I had a lot of Britishisms.
Change it.
Yeah, I had a lot of Britishisms too. That
Yeah.
I just I said, do you want this American? Or
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Hi, this
Hi.
is for Kevin. I was wondering, what do you think of Christian Bale's Batman voice? And do you think you can say, I'm the goddamn Batman?
I am the goddamn Batman.
I think he's a terrific Batman. I think he's a wonderful actor. And I think that the voice, a lot of people have the problem with the voice that he does as Batman. And I think it's just because it just doesn't sound organic. It sounds like he's putting it on. But he's, he's an amazing actor. And his choice to do a different voice, I completely agree with. Because, as we were talking about yesterday, Bruce Wayne's the wealthiest, most popular guy in Gotham City. Just putting on a cape and a cowl, people are going to know it's him. You know what I mean? So he's got to change his voice somehow. So I agree with the decision. I think it just didn't sound completely organic, which is the reason a lot of the audience, I think, doesn't react to it. Sure.
Hello. My first question goes to Miss DeLisle. Do you think her Imperial Viciousness will return for Legend of Korra?
No, she won't be back. I mean, not so far, but I'm doing like 3 other characters, new characters for Korra, so I can't really say what they are, but they're not firebenders so far.
And my second question goes to both of you. Tara Strong last year told the story of getting a call at 3 a.m. and being annoyed and doing her Rugrats voice. I was wondering if you guys have ever done that in your actual lives, just switch to your Batman or your Azula voice.
I've done Azula to scare teenagers at Best Buy once. I was like, Tylee, get me 3 copies of 16 and Pregnant right now. Let's see if they have that. And then you guys were like, what? I just saw that they were looking at Avatar. I do an ugly voice when I didn't want to talk to a cute guy. I mean, like ugly guys or guys that I just wasn't interested in. They were like, oh, like creepy guys. And I'd be like, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. And like, oh. You guys like gonna party or what? Let's like go do this. Anyway, so yeah.
Weirdest place I've done the voice. Oh, I know. This is a funny story. I was on my way to the studio, and it was an early morning shoot. It was like 5 a.m., and I had to drop my mail off at the Hollywood post office on the way. And it was dark out still, but they had the post office boxes outside in the parking lot. So I pull into the parking lot, and I leave everything in the car, and I'm running from the car to the post office box, and there's this homeless guy sitting in the parking lot, the Hollywood parking lot, in the dark, and he goes, "Hey buddy, you got $1? $1?" And I said, I honestly, I don't have my wallet. I have nothing. All I have is my mail. And he goes, "Oh my God, you're Kevin Conroy." And I was like, and I thought, did he read my name on my mail? It's too small, it's dark out. And I thought, is this an actor that I worked with who's now sleeping in a parking lot? So I thought, do I lie? I said, no, it happens all the time. No, I guess I better. I said, yeah. He said, you're Batman.
See what comics will get you?
I said, how do you know that? He said, oh man, I got Batman. He said, you know what I want you to do? I want you to do the voice. Just all I want you to say is, I am vengeance. Oh my God. So in the dark in the Hollywood parking lot, I am vengeance. Oh, thank you, Jesus, I got Batman. Just say, I am the night. I said, I am the night. He said, okay, bring it home, Batman, bring it home. I am Batman. So I'm like, okay, just wait 1 second, and I go back to my car, and he goes, oh, I can't take Batman's money. I said, you're going to tell everyone Batman is cheap. You're going to take Batman's money.
That's good.
We were backstage, and I go, didn't we just do this yesterday? Aren't they going to be bored with our stories? And he's like, yeah, I don't have any more good stories.
So I called Andrea Romano, and this is one of her favorite phone calls from me. I said, I found our audience. And he's sleeping in the Hollywood post office parking lot.
I have a really quick story about, because Andrea is so sweet, and she really, Billy West and Phil Lamar went to the public library to do this voiceover thing for the kids, just like talk to the kids about voiceovers. And apparently this other guy had wandered in and told them that he did voiceovers and he wanted to be part of the panel. And he was homeless. Like he had they didn't know really if he was, but he had is he really tan or is it a little bit of coat of dirt or what? So he got up there on the panel and he's like, I do the voice of women of wrestling. Wow. Or no, gorgeous ladies of wrestling, the glow boy. And he just, everything he said was like this. And so he did the panel and Billy was doing all these crazy animals and dogs and cats and all this stuff, and Phil was doing all these amazing voices, and then they got to that guy and he's like, this is a little bird. And the kids are just like, what? And then Billy and Phil are just like, what is going on? But apparently Andrea felt like she should help him out, and so she gave him a part of Batman.
Oh, cool.
She did. What? She gave him a couple lines, but it seems like it's a really cool thing, but it just didn't end well, because he kept calling her, and he was like, will there be water at the session? And she's like, yeah, we've got bottled water. And he's like, okay, is there a way that I could get my check at the session? And she was like, no, I think that, we have to mail it to you. And he was like, and so he was just kind of a lot of trouble. And then he got there, and he had to say, yes, 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 no more arrows, no more guns, or something like that, and then he was going, yes, yes, no more arrows, no more guns. And Andrea was like, yeah, but it's more like, she doesn't want to give you a line reading. She's really sweet. So she was like, just a little bit more descending, and so she's like, well, and then finally she was giving him line reading. She's like, it's like, yes, yes, no more arrows, no more guns. She's like, yes, yes, no more arrows, no more guns. It was just not. And so then she did one of the things where she was like, that's great. That's perfect. All right, we're moving on. And so, yeah, it was sweet that Andrea tried, but no. Little bird.
Thank you, and have a good morning.
Thanks. He's like, well, that wasn't long.
Way more than I wanted to hear.
First of all, sorry, but Catwoman is one of my favorite Batman characters.
He's pissed now. Thanks.
I'm so pissed.
But if you ever had to do a character that you've never done before, which one would you do?
I've always wanted to do, well, I used to always want to do Wonder Woman, but now I'm doing Wonder Woman in this new thing that's coming out. So I was very excited about it. Yeah, but I love Poison Ivy too. I'm always like jealous when people get to do Poison Ivy. Yes! You look awesome. I didn't even see you until right now. Oh, you look gorgeous. Yeah, so I think that's what I want to do. How about you?
You know, this is going to sound funny. When I went in to audition for the Batman series, I didn't want to audition for Batman. Because it's like, you know, the hero, I wanted to play the villain. Or, the cops, Bullock. I said, don't you want me to play Bullock? Hey, get over here! And so they said, yeah, it's very interesting, but we've got someone already, So I was doing all these character voices, and they didn't want me to do that. So. Actors always want to do something goofy, something that's more of a stretch. But those would be fun roles.
I never wanted to play the ingenue, like in plays. I always wanted to be the funny, weird one that comes in for like one scene and, then gets to sit backstage and talk to everybody for the rest of the time. Eat the craft service. Yeah. And at the end, everybody's like, you were great. The ingenue walks by and they're like, I just think she's all cute. You were funny. Yeah.
Thank you and good morning.
Good morning. Love your outfit.
Hi.
Hi.
So this is a kind of a two-part question, one for Kevin. Kevin, how do you feel about being Batman for over 20 years now? And for the both of you, for voice acting, did you ever think that it would be as popular today as it versus maybe about 30 years ago during the 80s?
That's an interesting question. It's really evolved. It's really evolved as animation evolved, and it really exploded. Because when I started doing this in '91, it was, it was a small thing on the side. It was something you did to kind of supplement your other work, your other income. But then it became this massive industry, that everyone wants to do now. And then you ended up with this casting situation where all the film stars want to do it, so that it's harder for people to break into the business. Yeah. No, it's really evolved dramatically. And no one ever thinks a job's going to go for 22 years, believe me. That just doesn't happen. That was just weird, fluky luck.
Yeah, when we started doing Fairly Odd Parents, I was 25, and I always tell Butch, like, we grew up together. Like, I can't believe we're still doing this show. But what was the thing about what? Am I surprised? I hope that it goes on forever because I'm a little spazzy, in case you didn't notice. I'm not on drugs. I was watching that Dina Lohan interview with Dr. Phil, and I was like, what a weirdo, she's crazy. And I thought, I think that's how I act in interviews. Oh my God, I hope nobody thinks I'm on pills. I'm talking, no, so I don't know what I'm talking about. When I was working with June Foray, she's 93, I think, maybe even older, I think she's 95, crazy.
Who is?
June Foray. She has this hot guy that drives her around and like helps her with her paperwork and everything. And I was like, I want that to be me. I hope I'm still doing this when I'm 95. That's amazing. So hopefully, I don't know. I think they're gonna. All the on-camera people are afraid that they're going to be replaced by computer-generated images, and I was like, but they'll still need the voice. So we're safe.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Hi.
Hi. Yesterday you spoke about how the one contract could lend you 3 voices on the same show.
Right.
What is talking to yourself like?
I do it all the time for free.
Talk to my shrink. He sees me talking to myself all the time. Well, no, you can do 3 different roles in a script.
Sure.
But they're not necessarily characters that talk to themselves. You know what I mean?
Well, has that happened?
But you've done a lot of different voices.
Sometimes they're like, do you want to do it separately, or do you want us to do like one character and the other character? I was sitting by Frank Welker when they asked me that a few weeks ago, and he was like, come on, pussy, just do it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I can't look bad in front of Frank, so I tried to do it. Sometimes it sucks, but sometimes it works, so I always challenge myself.
And Frank Welker is one of those guys who can do amazing voices.
We do this thing where when we do ADR, if we get bored, I'll start trying to do the men in the ADR, like, you know, like it's like a bar scene or whatever. I'm like, oh, you know, trying to do the guys, and he's like, oh my goodness, ah! You know, if somebody breaks it. We were doing it for like 10 minutes, and finally Colette's like, are you doing the men and he's doing the women? And I was like, yeah, we're bored. And she's like, no, don't do that.
He can do entire crowd scenes by himself.
And it sounds like there's overlap too. It sounds like he's like having
bizarre.
Yeah.
He's very talented.
He's amazing.
But it's fun doing different voices in the same episodes because you get to stretch a little bit.
And also, sometimes it leads to way more work than, like, I swear, I've gotten so many, like, things from getting, like, one little tiny part that ends up just coming back because it's funny or whatever. I mean, like, was it Amazing Spider-Man? I did Sally Averill in, I think it was, like, Amazing Spider-Man.
I think it was Spectacular.
Spectacular. I knew it was something good. I'm awful about remembering names. You're good. June's 95, and it was a Spectacular Spider-Man. But I was all sad because it was between me and Vanessa for Mary Jane, and so I was like really wanting to do that, and then I didn't get that, and she got it, but I was happy for her. She's one of my really good friends. But so I got this little part of Sally Averill, which was supposed to be like 2 lines, this annoying cheerleader who kind of talked like this. All right, Spider-Man, you think you're so funny. And so, but they just kept writing for Sally because she was just kind of funny, and so she was in every episode, and I think Mary Jane was only like in 3 of the 22 episodes. And then I was like, sorry, Vanessa. But so sometimes she'll do a part, and the writers just fall in love with this little tiny part, and I've done more series that actually, you know, I get tons of episodes just because of some stupid little 2-line part that kind of takes over. So, like when I did The Mighty Bee, there was a little character named... not Portia, but it was like, she kind of talked like this, and she was like really quiet. Oh God, I can't remember. She had like brown hair, and oh shoot, I can't remember. But anyway, she was in every episode, and she had like 1 line, so it's good. Hi.
So my question is, have you guys ever used any of your character voices to get out of trouble? Like a parking ticket, something like that.
Tom Kenny did.
Tom Kenny?
Yes, he was like, oh my God, he came to session and he's like, I feel like so dirty, I just want to go take a shower. And I go, what? And he goes, I got pulled over for a parking ticket, and I totally pulled out the SpongeBob. He was like, I feel awful. The guy pulled me over and he was about to write a ticket, and he said, do you have kids? I'm SpongeBob. He said, but the officer totally like hounded him for that autograph too. Like, and he didn't give him the ticket, but he said he kept calling him like, so you're gonna mail that autograph, right? Like, you're the autograph. So, yeah. I don't have anything that big that a cop would even know. I guess Daphne, they might know, but. Jeepers, officer, don't give me a ticket. Don't be a creepy cop.
I always assumed it would be a completely anonymous job, and for a long time it was. But then then it became more.
Then you meet more homeless people.
No, I think with the internet, people got, they can Google your name, and then people get sick. So I was in making a perfectly legal turn, but I made it a little wide. But it was totally legal. I didn't do anything illegal, and this cop pulls me over. And he says, you made that turn very wide back there. I said, well, I'm not from here. It was, I just didn't know this area, but I didn't know anything. He said, let me just see your license and registration. I thought, this guy's going to be a real stickler. I didn't do anything illegal, but I just a little wide on the turn. So he looks at the license and he goes, oh, God, that's got to be a weird name to have, huh? So what do you mean? He said, well, that's the name of the guy who does Batman.
No stories. He was out of stories backstage.
Isn't that funny? I said, that's me. He said, oh, bullshit. I said, what do you want me to say? He said, oh, man. I said, I'm Batman. So we can let Batman go.
Because he let you go, he lost his job and ended up at the post office.
And that's the guy sleeping in the post office.
Thanks again.
Sure.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a question for Kevin. So according to the website, you played Hamlet. Is that true?
I've been in productions of Hamlet. I haven't played Hamlet. I played Laertes.
Oh, okay. Well, while you were playing Hamlet, did you have any, Laertes, I'm sorry. Did you have any favorite lines that you said?
Ooh. It was a long time ago, sorry. That was for Joseph Papp at the Public Theater. That was a long time ago. I don't really remember.
Oh, like Ophelia, and I can't remember many lines. I wrote, that's Rosemary, that's for remembrance. But I totally lost my mind when I played Ophelia.
Well, you're supposed to.
In Seattle, and it's like really dark there. I know your question is for Kevin. So
Okay.
you don't want to hear my dumb story. No, I had really long hair, like down to my butt, and then they don't let you cut your hair when you're in a play. Like you can't do anything without asking the costume people. And so as soon as it was over, I think I had that light deprivation craziness. I don't remember, it's called like sad or something like that. Yeah, I was sad. I was very sad, Ophelia. Plus I went crazy like 6 nights a week. So as soon as the play was over, I got a Flowbee, those things that hook up to the vacuum cleaner. And I Flowbee'd the hell out of my hair. Like it was like that short, all over. From being down here, oh, I was sad after that. So I had to go to Supercuts to fix it, which you messed up your hair when you go to Supercuts to fix it. So, yeah. So then I was a cute little pixie girl. Everybody thought I was a lesbian, which I didn't care about. I took advantage sometimes. It was college, everybody was gay.
I was running to make an entrance. There was an entrance coming in under the audience, and I was running in, and there had been padding over this concrete beam that someone in the crew had removed. Oh. And it was totally black coming in, and I come running on them, back on my back on the ground. And I jump up, and I go running on stage, and I'm acting, and I'm acting, and I'm acting, and I'm acting, and I'm like rubbing my head to make sure everything's okay. And I'm rubbing my head, and I'm acting, and I'm looking at my hands, and there's a little bit of blood. And I'm rubbing more to make sure the blood is getting bad, and there's a little bit of more blood. And I'm looking, and then I see little pots of blood on the floor, and then I feel this starting to happen. And then Bob Gunton, who was playing the king, looks at me and he goes, and I realized there's blood pouring down my head. And so what do? I'm on stage. And I said, excuse me, I have to leave the stage. I'm sorry. And everyone went, oh, there's an actor leaving the stage. Oh my God. So I go backstage and like everyone's running around backstage, frantic. And they lead me to the bathroom and my head's over the sink and there's just blood pouring. And then the paramedics come in, these big cops who are so sweet. They go, buddy, you got more than just a scalp wound there. So they ended up going to the hospital. They had to do stitches across. I have a big scar going across my head. So the scalp had severed down to the skull. And they showed me the x-rays in the ER, and they said, do you realize how lucky you are? They said, the skull went like this. It was like this massive bump, but nothing had cracked. And there was no concussion or anything. It had just, like sawed in a lawn, the skin, etc. So if I ever go bald, I'm screwed. Because I've got this big scar here. Just wear the cowl. Yeah, so that's my Hamlet story.
Thank you very much. I have a good theater story. It didn't happen to me, but it was West Side Story when I was doing the spotlight, and somebody had forgotten to put the gun on the prop table. Like there was no gun on the prop table. So when they went out there to grab the gun, there was no gun. So Chino beat Tony to death with a shoe. He took his shoe. And then when Maria came out, she was like, "This is the shoe." will this shoe kill me or you? This is the shoe that you kill me.
Hi guys.
Hi.
So I've got a question for Grey. So I know you did a voice for Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. It's like a two-part question. So how was it like working with Mr. Kojima, and are you going to be involved in more future Metal Gear games?
Metal Gear games? I don't think I'm in anything in the future, but I did Amanda in Peace Walker, and I didn't work with him. I just worked all by myself. But I remember they did do the weird camera stuff on your face, and it was weird. I kept thinking, oh, I hope that they don't do this for all kinds of games, because I kind of felt like I couldn't move or act, like I kind of felt like stuck, but you know, but I was honored to be in one of the Metal Gear games. That was amazing. Yeah. I have one more theater story for you. I know. I just remember one time they clipped one of those the body mics, you know, the box that they have where they have to clip it onto. Well, they clipped it. All they had was my thong underwear, and I had this dress that like went up, like to, you know how it was like long in the back, but it went up to my knees in the front. And like as I'm on stage, I can feel like the thing like pulling my underwear down, and pretty soon I'm like waddling around the stage, and pretty soon just like under my dress, you can just see this box hanging from my thong underwear.
Oh no!
I just like waddled off the stage. So anyway, let's talk about celebrities. Oh, it was The Wiz. I was Ada Pearl.
Hi.
Hey, first of all, love your work and everything. I love Azula and Avatar, Batman, all that.
Thank you.
My question would be, if you had just like, not even to just sum it down to one base thing, but if you had like one sort of tip or sort of advice you would give any aspiring voice actor or actress, just as like a basic thing if they're trying to make it in this business, what would that be?
Well, I think we both think that the theater is really important in terms of experience and stretching. Just stretch. Just, you know, do different characters. And the theater's where you do it. Much more so than anywhere else.
Yeah, because I've noticed a lot of on-camera people can be like small, and a lot of times you have to like just be bigger than you ever could imagine it to be. Like, do it to where it seems weird, you know, and that's about right. Because sometimes they're really trying to pull it out of people. That, you know, I worked with Dennis Hopper, and he's amazing. I mean, on camera he was amazing, but he was just too small for the cartoon. It was just not coming across. In the booth, when I was watching his face, it was beautiful, but when I listened to it later, it seemed really flat, because I think that a lot of people that just do on camera are used to using their face and stuff to convey a lot of the emotions, but when you're just doing your voice, you have to have everything in your voice, and so if anything is just filtered out to your face, it doesn't make it across. So yeah, theater and yeah, acting is really important. People think that you can just put on a voice or just do an accent, and it's not about, it's from the inside out rather than like putting on. So yeah. I mean, if you saw Tom Kenny work, he stands up every time and he's just like moving and he's just like does everything. He's completely in it, like from the inside out, so.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Hi, fact checker.
All right, first question from my buddy Sean. Are there any toys based on your characters that you like to collect or like proud to have? Then a request I'll get to later. Question?
They give us a bunch of things from the shows, you know, and my son is 6, so he's always like looking out for stuff, you know, that's coming home with me. So if there's anything that's collectible that probably could have been worth some money on eBay, it's already like got like makeup drawn on it and crazy stuff. He tends to abuse his toys.
I had a guy at the last Comic-Con come up and give me a gift of a Kevin Conroy action figure. And it looked exactly like me.
Which is weird.
I mean, it was me. But it had like Batman's body. I thought, oh, that is so me. How did you get my body so right? No, but it was so thoughtful. It was, you know, just this gesture, and it's what he does. He has a company that does these things. Isn't that cool?
It's amazing that he got it right, because usually they don't look anything like the person.
They look nothing like him. So I tracked him down by his email address on the toy, and I ordered 24 of them, and I sent them out to all of my friends.
Wally Winger, the voice actor, made this bobblehead of himself and gave it out to everybody. And so every time he saw it, he was like, "Did you get the bobblehead? Did you get a bobblehead?" Because he ordered like so many of them that he had them like in the trunk of his car. So every time he went to a session, you just see this like head of Wally Winger, just like. Yeah.
All right, now request. Kevin, would you mind doing an improvised scene of being an imaginary person who believes he's a superhero while Grey plays Frankie from Foster's?
Imaginary person who thinks he's a superhero.
Like an imaginary friend, because Foster's home for imaginary friends.
Exactly.
I'm an imaginary
friend. Yeah, you're basically like a person who's trying to get Grey's attention, and you're like being so happy, full of yourself, and Grey interacts.
It's a frustrated director here.
He's a frustrated director. Oh, no,
action!
No, you guys are doing great. I'm just not making my point clear.
Supro, you're not really a superhero, so just stop trying to get my attention.
Why don't you find me attractive?
Lou, get rid of this guy.
I don't know.
Thank you so much.
Hi.
For Grey, I like you as Princess Azula. Do you think sometime you could act in front of a camera?
I could do what? Act in front of the camera. When I first moved to Los Angeles, I did some acting in front of the camera, and I wasn't cute enough. No. I did that 70s show. I played the English teacher on that 70s show, and I was on Caroline in the City, and I did some pilots and stuff. I did like this teeny little part in Mad Men that's coming up, just because they wanted Daphne to be in Mad Men. So it was like teeny, like if you blink, you'll miss me. But so I still do a little bit of things, little movies and stuff, but I like the voiceover stuff best because it matters about what's in here rather than what's out here. Because a lot of times you go to auditions and they just like look you up and down, and it's all about just your outside. And I'd rather show off my inside. Thank you for your question. Bye.
Bye.
I was wondering what your favorite part of being a voice actor was.
The money. Just the people that you get to work with.
Yeah, I think it's the people you meet.
Yeah. When I work by myself, I'm always like, oh, I get out faster, but I almost would rather stay there longer and just see my buddies. Because there's like there's one person that I don't like. But there's like everybody else is like really cool.
Who is it?
I can't ever tell.
No, when the Batman animated series, after it had done like 100 episodes, they took out a 2-page ad in Variety to thank everyone who had worked on the show over the previous like 3 or 4 years, whatever it had been. The names on those 2 pages were unbelievable. When you put it all down on paper like that, and you thought, oh my God, every week we've gotten to work with all of these incredible people. So I think
Except
that's
for the one.
most
I don't like.
Huh?
Except for the one that I don't
Except for
like.
that one guy. No, that's the most fun part of doing this job, is because as word went out about Batman, I'm sure you had this experience with your show too, when word gets out that a show is really fun to do, everybody wants to do it. And so Andrea Romano could get anyone she wanted to come on as guests on the shows. So we got all kinds of phenomenal people that, I never thought I'd get a chance to work with.
Yeah.
So that was the most fun part of it.
Yeah, Scooby's like that. We work with so many amazing people, and they just think it's cool to be on Scooby. They always want the line of like, if it wasn't for you pesky kids, I would have gotten away with it. They're like, I got the pesky kids line, Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
You again.
Hello.
Okay, I had to come back because my friends told me I had to ask this question because they can't be here. So, okay, the question is for Kevin, but I also have one for Grey too.
That's all right.
They want to know, how come you're not always Batman? Because whenever other people go and do the part for the other DC, you know, direct video ones, that it's not the same, because as everyone says, you are the goddamn Batman. So why does anyone else need to come in here and do it? Because
I appreciate that.
my friend in Hawaii
Well,
had even
you know,
said that about the Under the Red Hood. He was
let's
like, it
get
would have been a lot
let's
better
get a
to do it.
mailing campaign going on to Warner Brothers. We want more Kevin Conroy. No, it's what it is directors want to put their own stamp on things. That's what it's about. And some people just want to, you know, they just want to shake it up. They just want to get a different sound. It has nothing to do with not liking what I do. It's about thinking they might be able to find something else. The same reason they had, you know, George Clooney and Michael Keaton and Val Kilmer and, you know, all these different actors do Batman before they got Christian Bale. They were just trying different people to see what different people brought to it. So I don't take it personally when they don't use me. I think it's a terrible failure on their part. Yes. But I don't take it personally.
This is a side story, but my friend was dating Jeff Goldblum, and he said,
your poor friend.
I know, she was a beautiful blonde bimbo. Yeah, we're not friends anymore. But she had this other friend, our other friend, who's like really serious and kind of, you know, just like glasses and just more conservative. Well, Jeff Goldblum said, I want to set you up with my friend Michael Keaton. I want to set you up with my friend Michael Keaton. She was like, Michael Keaton, oh my God. So she like went out and spent a ton of money on this outfit for this date they were all going to go on. So she gets to the restaurant and there's our bimbo friend and then Jeff Goldblum and then this little Japanese man and then one other seat. And she's like, where's Michael Keaton? You know, but she's like, oh, sorry. So she sits down and she spent like her whole paycheck on this outfit. And she's like, when is Michael Keaton getting here? And they're like, oh no, this is Michael Keaton. Anyway, I have a lot of just stories that just kind of. Not as good as his, I have to say, man. He said he was out, and then he just brought out 3 fantastic stories. I love it. That's
You're Kevin Conroy.
Amazing.
Okay, and then one more question for Kevin. Is there any chance or any rumors that there's going to be an all-star Batman and Robin?
An all-star what?
All-star Batman and Robin animated movie?
Not that I know. Not that I know.
Okay. Because, I mean, you know, they already did All-Star Superman, so I'm waiting for an All-Star, just so I can hear you throughout the whole thing saying you're the goddamn Batman. That's all I really care about. And for Grey, you got to work with Neil Patrick Harris, and I want to know how awesome that was. I mean, he's so adorable, and he just seems so awesome. Like, I want to know how awesome
we did our duet for Batman, but we never met when we did our duet. So when I did Adventure Time, I saw him there, and I was like, hey, we did our duet together, and he gave me a big hug, and he's like, oh my God, yeah, I love that. And so he's really sweet, but we didn't meet until much later. Like Kevin,
So
I just met Kevin like yesterday.
So you did a duet with him and you didn't do it together?
No.
Oh, that's
He
nice.
wasn't available. I think he was in New York or something.
That's fascinating.
Hello, I'm a fan of your guys' work. I was just curious, I know you guys were talking about recording for the video game. How is it different recording for like animated series, like when you're recording as opposed to doing the video game?
Well, the thing I love about working for Andrea is that she always wants to get the actors together. At Disney, they often like to record people separately. Has that been your experience?
Yeah.
So that they have, when they record you separately, they have a completely clean take that they can really control in post-production perfectly. But they don't get the kind of performance that they would get if you were acting with other actors. So Andrea always wants to get the group together, as many of the group as she can. So you go into these recording sessions, that's what I meant earlier when I said one of the best things about doing this job is the actors you work with. She tries to get everyone together. So there'll be 6, 8, sometimes 10 actors in a big recording room together, just bouncing these lines off each other, and it's a blast. So,
She always does read-throughs first, though. I love her, but they always go, we liked how you did the read-through, and I was like, why didn't we record the damn read-through then? Damn! I never can recapture what my first impulse.
Yeah, no, the first take is always the best.
Yeah.
You know. But
it's good when you didn't read the script, because I'm like, oh, I'm going to work with Andrea. We'll do a read-through first, so I don't need to read it.
So it's just working together, actors. It's such a blast.
Cool. I have one more question. In Batman the Animated Series, there's a point where Batman is yelling at Harley Quinn, when she pushes a button in his car. Can you redo that for me if you can?
What did he say?
Oh, he said, listen and listen good. You don't touch anything, say anything, or do anything unless I tell you. Got it?
Listen and listen good. You don't touch anything, do anything, and say anything until I say to. Got it?
Okay, we're going to wrap it up now.
I think no more people in line after these three. So.
Here we go.
Yes, I have a question for Kevin. I was wondering, can you react your line from Batman the Animated Series, but add a little something different when he was about to take out Clayface, but say this, look at what you used to be. You were an amazing actor. You had talent. You were just as every bit as beautiful as Jennifer Lopez, but now you look like a piece of Play-Doh that kids roll up.
I think he did it. I think you
just did it fine.
Did you say it in your Batman voice? There was a line you did in the animated series.
But he only did it one time, like a long time ago, and it's hard to remember all
I
that.
don't even remember the line, to tell you the truth.
Did you do it to the best of your knowledge?
Yeah.
It was from Fate of Clay Part 2.
Look, what is the line again?
Look at what you used to be. You had talent. You were an amazing actor. You were just as every bit as beautiful as Jennifer Lopez.
Look at what you used to be. You were an amazing talent. You had great talent. You were almost as good as Jennifer Lopez.
Thank you very much.
Here we go.
Okay, so our question kind of goes together, but first of all, we want to say, for both Kevin and Grey, Batman Animated Adventures, every day after school, we would watch that. And for you, Grey, you were in every single cartoon growing up. Like, your voice, we could never pin it now growing up with IMDb and stuff. I was like, oh my God, she was in everything! So we just want to say thank you for making our childhood rock.
That's great.
So, my question first is for both Kevin and Grey. I want to ask you guys, what is your favorite voice character, pretty much, that you've done throughout your career?
What is the one?
Azula's definitely my favorite.
What is
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
Well, I mean, Batman. That's basically what I've done. Or Captain Wonderful. That was pretty wild.
And the first one for both of you, what are your favorite shows that you've done? And the second one for Kevin, what was your favorite episode that you remember on the Batman animated series?
My favorite episode was Perchance to Dream.
Oh, yes.
I love. It's really interesting. And the favorite show I've ever done, I did a play on Broadway called The Eastern Standard. I was really proud of. It got a lot of attention. And I did a TV movie called Face of Fear, where I played a serial killer. And I really had a lot of fun. I found my inner self. So, I think everyone has a lot of things that are their favorites, don't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, Avatar definitely, just because the writing and the character development is so dense and beautiful, and I'm so in awe of Mike, and those guys are just amazing creators. But my most fun that I've ever had is doing Tough Puppy, on Nickelodeon. We just laugh our asses off. And my mom came there once and she was like, you guys are annoying. I can't understand anything you're saying. Because we're all laughing at each other's jokes and doing impressions, and it's like, it's all inside jokes, and it's just probably boring for anybody who's not immediately involved, but we have a blast. So, yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. And that's all the time we have. Thank you all.